Every morning you wake up, you check the price of bread, fuel, or yam, and your heart sinks a little. The Naira keeps weakening, food keeps rising, and your salary, not so much. This is a cost of survival crisis, one that's affecting almost everyone in Nigeria. Today, we break down the numbers, the causes, and what Nigerians are doing just to make ends meet. In the next 10 minutes, we'll explore how bad inflation really is right now, what staple costs are doing, how transport and housing are making life harder, what the government has done and not done, how everyday Nigerians are coping, and what might help us get out of this mess. Let's start with the raw numbers. The National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) reported that in March 2025, Nigeria's headline inflation rose to 24.23% year-on-year, up from 23.18% in February. Food inflation, the part that hits everyone hardest, was 21.79% year-on-year in March. That's despite a slight easing in some months. Urban households are suffering more. In March, the urban inflation rate was 26.12% compared to 20.89% in rural areas. And even though the government changed how it measures inflation, rebasing the Consumer Price Index from a 2009 base year to 2024, the pain of rising prices is very real. Let's talk staples: rice, garri, yams, plantain, fresh peppers. These items are essential. In March 2025, prices of several items like garri, broken rice, which is your father, fresh pepper, ginger, plantains, potatoes rose sharply. For example, food inflation year-on-year is about 21.79%. Month-on-month, food prices increased by 2.18% in March, a faster pace compared to February when food prices had gone up by about 1.67%. These increases are forcing people to make hard choices, buy a smaller quantity, switch to cheaper but less nutritious food, reducing meals per day, or depend more on local produce if available. When fuel subsidies were removed, petrol prices shot up. That immediately made transport costs rise. Public transport fares, ride shares, moving goods, everything that depends on fuel goes up. School commuting, food delivery, business logistics. Then housing. Rents are increasing because building and maintenance costs go up. Electricity, building materials, cement, steel, they are all more expensive because of inflation, foreign exchange challenges, and supply chain disruptions. Utilities, electricity tariffs, water, gas, all add on. So someone may have a modest salary, but almost everything they spend it on is increasing in cost. A big driver of all of this is policy, subsidy reforms, and currency devaluation. The government has removed fuel subsidies, which was long debated. Removing the subsidy was argued as necessary to free up fiscal resources, reduce corruption, distortions, but it came with major short-term hardship. Then there is the exchange rate, as the Naira lost value against foreign currencies. Importing food items, building materials, fuel, spare parts all cost more in Naira. Those increased costs are passed to consumers. Even the inflation measurements change, rebasing from old base years 2009 to newer ones 2024 meant that some inflation readings looked lower or changed shape, but it doesn't change the fact that real cost is still very high. Some relief programs have been announced by government, vulnerable households stipends, social investment programs, but many say they are too small, too few, or hit with delays. Aisha, a mother of 3 living in Lagos, once bought rice, beans, garri, and fresh tomatoes every week. Now she buys fewer tomatoes because the price has doubled in just a few months. She often walks long distances to save on transport fares. On some days, she even keeps her younger children at home because the combined cost of transport and lunch has become too much to bear. Tunde, an Okada rider in Abuja, faces a similar struggle. The cost of fuel now eats up almost all his daily earnings. Although he tries to charge higher fares per ride, many customers refuse to pay more, choosing instead to walk or stay at home. Sometimes he is forced to take days off, not out of choice, but because petrol is either unavailable or too expensive to buy. These are not rare stories. Most Nigerians are making adjustments, skipping meals, reducing electricity use even if it means sweating in heat, compromising healthcare, using cheaper products, even homemade ones. So what are people doing to cope? They are buying in bulk when prices are lower, switching to staples that are cheaper or locally grown, using shared transports, carpooling or walking, limiting non-essentials, fewer phone, data spend, less leisure, using less power, avoiding expensive brands. Some are using small side gigs or multiple jobs. Rural households are using own farms or community gardens where possible. These survival tactics help, but they are not enough. Many cannot sustain them over time. There are several paths forward. Support local agricultural and supply chains so food doesn't have to come from far. Investing in inputs, rural roads and cold storage. Market access. 2. Stable and transparent subsidy removal. 3. Exchange rate stability. 4. Social welfare programs. 5. Regulation on transport costs. 6. Price monitoring. If these are done with integrity and urgency, life can become more bearable again. In the end, inflation is not just numbers. It's mothers skipping meals, workers choosing between fare or rent, children doing homework in candlelight. But Nigerians are resilient, surviving, adapting, fighting back. If you have a story, how has rising inflation changed your life? What coping strategy do you use? Drop it in the comments. Let's share, learn, and let the decision makers know that this cost of living crisis needs real solution now.